Lyle Menendez, who was 21 years old at the time, and Eric Menendez, who was 18 years old at the time, brutally murdered their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, in the magnificent Beverly Hills residence that they lived with their family. The murders took place in August of 1989. Because of the horrible double homicide, the entire country was captivated, and it led to an exciting trial that was ultimately brought to a close in the year 1996. The two brothers were found guilty of murder in the first degree and were sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of release. Both of the brothers were punished for their crimes. Lyle and Eric, the defendants, have maintained throughout the trial and in the decades that have passed subsequently that the deaths were acts of self-defense. They have held this position throughout the whole trial. In their statements, they have indicated that the years of suffering from horrible sexual, physical, and emotional abuse at the hands of their father served as the impetus for them to take action. In addition, they have asserted that their mother was aware of the continual trauma that they were enduring and that she was complicit in it. The prosecutor's office, on the other hand, refuted these charges of mistreatment and instead contended that the brothers were motivated by money. In their argument, they referred to the enormous wealth that the Menendez family owned and stated that the deaths were deliberate attempts to inherit the property that their parents had accumulated. Resentencing and eligibility for parole. Using the legal rules that the state has in place for juvenile offenders, which are defined as those who were younger than 26 years old at the time of their crimes, a judge in the state of California resentenced Eric and Lyle Menendez to terms of 50 years to life in prison in the month of September 2025. These individuals have previously been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. After the significant alteration that was made to their sentence, the brothers are now eligible to be considered for parole for the very first time since their conviction. This is the first time that they have been eligible for parole. During the time that the resentencing was taking place, there was a rise of public interest in their case. This enthusiasm was fueled by a number of documentaries, dramatized series, and broad online commentary. During the course of their legal journey, the Menendez brothers have received an unexpectedly large amount of compassion and support from a variety of people. Those supporters who believe that their charges of long-term abuse by members of their family were never appropriately handled in court are particularly likely to have this view. They now have members of their family, friends, and important personalities on their side, and all of these individuals are lobbying for a more sympathetic perspective on the case within the greater context of abuse, trauma, and reform in the legal system. Parole hearings and denials, 2025. Eric Menendez, hearing, August 21st, 2025. At the parole hearing for Eric Menendez, which was held by video link from prison, the proceedings lasted for close to 10 hours and contained emotional testimony from Eric as well as other members of his family. During the course of the hearing, Eric related the years of psychological and sexual abuse that he endured at the hands of his father. He described an atmosphere of perpetual dread and manipulation that, in his opinion, made it difficult for him to leave the house or seek assistance. A number of his family expressed their support for his release, saying that they forgive him and that they have faith in his ability to receive treatment. Eric's plea for release was ultimately denied by the parole board, which issued a 3-year rejection. This was the case despite the overwhelming personal accounts and apparent support that Eric received. The board expressed a number of concerns, including Eric's history of breaking rules when he was detained and ongoing inquiries into whether or not he had truly accepted responsibility for his conduct. The board came to the conclusion that these considerations were more significant than the indications of personal growth and remorse that were provided during the hearing. Lyle Menendez hearing, August 22, 2025. The parole hearing for Lyle Menendez, which was held over video link and lasted for roughly 11 hours, provided a comprehensive and emotional account of the abuse that he claims to have endured during his childhood. He disclosed that his father had subjected him to extreme physical violence, including beatings, choking, and being beaten with a belt. In addition, he asserted that his mother had sexually molested him. These revelations brought new layers to the story of familial dysfunction and trauma that has been around for a long time. The parole board accepted several positive aspects of Lyle's case, including the fact that his declarations of sorrow appeared to be genuine and that, in many respects, he had exhibited model inmate behavior throughout his decades of incarceration. The board, however, finally decided not to grant release for a further 3 years, notwithstanding the observations that occurred. They cited recent disciplinary issues, such as the possession of illegal cell phones, in addition to broader concerns about Lyle's psychological profile. More specifically, they were concerned about the presence of antisocial traits, such as deception and the minimization of his role in the crimes, which they believed undermined the positive image he projected during the hearing. Key issues and why parole was denied. The parole board's decision to deny release for both Eric and Lyle Menendez was driven by a combination of serious concerns related to their prison behavior, perceived lack of full accountability, and the brutal nature of their crime. One of the central issues raised in both hearings was their conduct behind bars, particularly the use of unauthorized cell phones, which was viewed as a significant violation of prison rules and indicative of ongoing disregard for authority. In Eric's case, additional concerns were cited, including past associations with prison gangs and other disciplinary infractions. While both brothers expressed remorse, the board questioned the depth and consistency of their acceptance of responsibility, noting that their accounts of the events surrounding the murders had shifted over time, casting doubt on their credibility and personal growth. Moreover, the severity of the crime remained a major factor. The premeditated execution of their parents, especially the manner in which their mother, Kitty Menendez, was killed while attempting to escape, and the brothers' calculated efforts to stage alibis and mislead investigators, all underscored the violent and deliberate nature of the act. Taken together, these issues led the board to conclude that neither brother had demonstrated sufficient rehabilitation to warrant parole. What happens next and broader implications? Due to the decision of the parole board to deny release, both Eric and Lyle Menendez now have to wait 3 years before they are able to petition for parole. This is in accordance with the regular protocols for parole proceedings. Their legal battle, on the other hand, might not be over there. A number of alternative legal options, such as the possibility of mercy or additional judicial review, are still available to them in addition to the parole procedure. Since they were resentenced in 2025 under California's law for juvenile offenders, their case has acquired legal and public traction, and there is the possibility that they will either apply for habeas corpus or appeal their conviction in the future. Outside of the confines of the courtroom, the Menendez case continues to generate a great deal of public discussion, particularly concerning the manner in which the legal system handles allegations of child abuse, the treatment of juvenile offenders, and the degree to which in-prison behavior ought to have an impact on parole decisions. The portrayal of the brothers in the media, documentaries, and social media campaigns have all contributed to the reshaping of public perception of the brothers. While these factors have not necessarily changed the outcomes of the legal proceedings, they have influenced the larger conversation about trauma, accountability, and the possibility of redemption within the United States criminal justice community. Thanks for watching and subscribing channel.